Koko Yeshiva, Country Director, World Food Program, esteemed panelists, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Let me at the outset thank World Food Program and SDPI to invite me to this very enlightening discussion on a topic of great importance. Let me also commend the World Food Program and SDPI to organize this event. The specific topic of today's discussion, negative impacts of climate change on food security and nutrition situation in Pakistan. Panelists who gave presentations on the subject have highlighted the wider issue of food insecurity, prevalence of poverty, hunger, malnutrition, and given a global perspective, and also they have shared insights and information about the situation in Pakistan. I'm sure these inputs would help the policymakers in the country to use their insights and inputs into policy making going forward. And I would look forward to the document which SDPI hopefully will prepare on the discussions that you had in this seminar, and will use that knowledge and the strategies that panelists have highlighted in their discourse into future development planning process. Now the effects of climate change on food security have been well documented by now, and the main challenge in the context of food security is the adverse impact on agricultural output and productivity. And because performance of agriculture sector, especially the food crops, livestock, poultry and so on, on the supply side, that is directly linked with the overall supply of food in the country. So, as you are aware, Pakistan has has a wide resource base, wide agricultural resource base, land, water, and a big rural population who are engaged in agriculture. What we lack in agriculture sector is low productivity. That is an issue which Pakistan is facing, and as compared to other regional countries and also the world at large. So our development strategy has to focus on enhancing agricultural productivity, and while we do that, we also take into account now the resilience that we need to build into our agricultural sector in view of the challenges of climate change. So all the interventions that you have highlighted, a panelist referred to inefficient use of water, water conservation practices, and better quality inputs, seed, fertilizer, climate resilient farming practices, and increased use of mechanization, etc. So all these interventions are needed and are being focused upon to enhance productivity of the agriculture sector. Just for your information, the government is also focusing on using best international practices, and also we are looking forward to investments, foreign investments in corporate agriculture sector. That is one of the important areas of investment that SIFC, which you are aware of, the Special Investment Facilitation Council, which is now tasked with the role of bringing in foreign investment. And it's not only money, capital that we sort of are trying to attract, but also the best practices in agriculture. So agriculture is one of the 5-6 areas of focus under SIFC, and the federal government through the SIFC is closely working on with the provinces. In fact, the corporate agriculture initiatives are obviously based in the provinces, and provinces have identified and allocated large chunks of land, and investment strategies being devised. The second area, major, and I'm focusing on the macro picture because eminent panelists have already gone into and delved into the specifics of the subject. On the demand side, of course, accelerating economic development. And in our peculiar situation, economic stabilization is very important to provide a sort of a framework for long-term investment and growth in the economy. And because with growth we have employment opportunities, we have the trickle-down effect. So the overall economic development strategy to make it more inclusive and more climate sensitive. And then together with macroeconomic stabilization, structural reforms to ensure long-term growth. We have to cater to the immediate effects of macro stabilization on vulnerable segments of the population. We have effective social protection interventions, and Ms. Linda referred to the Benazir Income Support Program and the nutrition component of that program. That has been appreciated by development experts around the world, and it is an effective program, and that caters to the needs of the vulnerable population. On climate change challenges that we face, and the calamities that we have faced, floods of last year, 2022 floods, and before that we had 2010 floods, very large scale, earthquake in 2005. Pakistan is one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change, it's well known. And this sort of is a new area that has emerged globally as well as in our national context. So Pakistan, the government of Pakistan, with the support of development partners, a UN system, multilateral institutions, bilateral partners in development, they have been very actively working on this area. And you are fully aware of the 4F strategy that Planning Commission in the wake of floods last year devised, and we are implementing that strategy. Agriculture and livelihoods are important components of that strategy, and we have a number of interventions in the federal development program called the PDSP and provincial ADPs. And on livelihoods also there is focus on specific interventions. I don't have the time at the moment to sort of give you the details, but we have a number of interventions in this area. Now coming to the specific questions raised by distinguished participants on coordination between various levels of government. Let me apprise you that adequate constitutional mechanisms for ensuring federal, provincial and local government level coordination, they exist. National Economic Council is a mechanism under the Constitution that approves the provincial, national and provincial development programs. So when the budget is prepared and is presented to the Parliament for approval. Then we have Economic Coordination Committee of the Cabinet that meets on need basis, on average twice a week normally. And this afternoon we have the ECC meeting. We meet quite often. And provincial governments issues that relate to provincial governments, they are also part of the discussion and the decision making. And the price situation and the supply of commodities situation, especially food, wheat, and so on, they are constantly reviewed at the ministerial level by the Ministry of Food Security. It's our eminent colleague, Mr. Basat, has been Additional Secretary. They are constantly monitoring, and they generate a monthly report on the commodity situation. It is on their website. And then for development projects and interventions, there are steering committees set up for national projects, where federal government representatives and provincial government, relevant provincial government representatives are represented. So there is a continuous process of dialogue and discussion, and that feeds into policy making and development plans, formulation, implementation, and coordination. We have the CCI, which is again a constitutional forum, Council of Common Interests, that looks into issues which fall under its ambit, especially water sharing and other issues. The impression that 8th Amendment or agriculture, in fact, has been a provincial subject even before 18th Amendment. I have been Secretary of Agriculture in Punjab way back in 1998, it's now 24 years. And we have fora at the national level because the policy debate between centralization and delegation and decentralization is a generic discussion. Now the consensus in development literature and policy, public policy literature is that there should be decentralization and delegation so that provincial and local levels of government which are closer to ground realities should be handling these activities and the field operations required. But that the impression that there are firewalls between various levels of government is not correct. I think it's a misconceived notion. Hardly a day passes when some sectoral discussion between federation and provinces is not going on. It's part of the way the government functions. On food prices, which Madam highlighted again, inflation is an issue that we are facing. The Federal Bureau of Statistics generates the sensitive price index surveys every week. We publish the data, and that covers the information on how the prices of food basket, the typical consumer sort of pattern, they are behaving. And then the CPI survey is done every month. So not only the government, but policymakers, think tanks like SDPI and others, provincial governments, they all have access. And there is a National Food Price Monitoring Committee which Minister for Planning heads. That committee meets every fortnight almost. And the ECC of the cabinet that I referred to reviews the price situation as a standing first item of the agenda. We do it every week. And that is done in coordination with the provincial government, because the macroeconomic sort of policy, economic policy is mainly the domain of the federal government, but administrative action required to keep a check on the prices, like checking the profiteering, hoarding, etc. They fall within the ambit of the provincial governments. And we have almost every week we have a discussion with the provincial government. And then and we do it not only at provincial level, we have gone down to the district level. The Federal Bureau of Statistics have devised an app which has a name. Now the deputy commissioners in the districts, they can access the movement of the food prices every week to see whether what the prices are, and then the gap between the wholesaler price and the retail price is also being monitored. This app highlights if there is a differential between wholesale and retail above 20%. That's the benchmark which Statistics Bureau have set up. Then the presumption is that hoarding and profiteering is taking place, and then the magistrates under the supervision of the deputy commissioners and the higher ups, they sort of address that issue. Food inflation is softening, and we keep a constant vigil on that. On the utilization, the young man referred to utilization. I didn't quite get as to what specific is your concern. If you could, in a couple of sentences, elaborate as to what utilization you used in what context, then I can address that question.
So it was basically to Ms. Linda. The question was basically to Ms.
All right.
But I would like to have a comment. I would personally feel if you would have to answer that, and if you have a specific comment on that, because keeping over.
Nikita, please let me know what utilization is. What do you mean by it?
Because the recommendations that are coming is that provide the nutrition education to the children.
Okay, all right.
But the concern is that over 22.8 million children are out of school.
All right.
So how to address those?
All right, all right. So basically, out of children's school, and we have the federal PSDP and the provincial ADPs have programs on this. This is a serious issue. I agree. I know the statistics and the numbers. So we have a number of interventions in the PSDP to address that specific question. And food for school children is also, there are specific programs and interventions in that area also. But I would agree with you that we need to pay more attention to human development, especially the area which is under discussion today. Improving the rate of literacy, getting out of school children into schools, etc., and providing them in various income support program. We have incentives for mothers who send their children to school, and there's an extra topping which is made available to them apart from the monthly income support stipends. Of course, nothing is perfect. And before I forget, I must compliment the efforts made by civil society organizations and the NGOs into this area. In fact, their performance in many ways in these social sector interventions at the ground level is really commendable. And in every field, we have representatives from the private sector, from civil society organizations. On climate specifically, we have a National Climate Council which is headed by the Prime Minister. And you must have read in the newspaper that this council met the day before yesterday. And I think the floor was with experts on climate change. And nutrition also came under discussion. We have very eminent persons on these
very small query. I'm sorry, lunch is already.
Yes,
the
next session is
National
about to start.
Committee had pledged to give us $40 billion. We have not been able to receive.
I think that will be my last. That again is a misconception. I'm sorry to say. The pledges which were made in Geneva in the wake of floods, they were not 40 billion was the need. That was part of our need assessment. The pledges were in the order of $10.9 billion. And out of this 10.9 for project finance, part of it is going to our commodity imports, etc. But around 6 billion are for project interventions. Projects worth 4.9 billion have already been approved, and they are under various stages of implementation. In Sindh, the projects are being implemented. In Balochistan, the projects are being implemented. And all these interventions, livelihoods, agriculture, etc., they are a part of that.
Thank you.
And to implement, again, to address your first question about coordination, etc., There are 3 committees which, with provincial representation, with donor representation. They function. There is an oversight committee which is headed by planning minister, a global oversight committee, and then there is the steering committee at the sector planning and development level. And this development program financed by pledges is a 3-year program. So we are in the first year of implementation, well ahead of the work that but we take note of your observations about this 4F implementation. You know, sometimes the press have their own way of presenting things, but the fact of the matter is that the implementation of 4F framework is very much satisfactory. Thank you very much.
Please extend our heartfelt